The iPhone 15 is clearly the iPhone that Apple was forced to update, but let's check it out and see if the cheapest base model version of this year's iPhone is the one to get. So the iPhone 15, I am excited about some of the updates to it, but it is clearly not the phone that Apple preferred to make, and I'm not sure that I'm willing to give them credit for that or not, but we'll get into that. So iPhone 15, we can see it. I do really like this picture, by the way. So base model price is $799 for the regular phone. So that's not the Plus. It's not even the Mini. Like I brought out my Mini because I really wish they'd continue making a mini phone, but $799 is the cheapest. The iPhones are a beautiful looking phone, even if phones anymore are kind of boring. They all look like a glass slab. That black looks fantastic. I know we did this on the Pro and the Pro Max video, but like I could just stare. Like this could be a whole video of mine just playing with this. So some things that you'll notice now, the iPhone regular model, not just the Pro and the Pro Max, have the dynamic island. I'm still kind of wishy-washy about the dynamic island. The notch never really bothered me because it was just something that your brain could like compartmentalize and just never have to notice. But the dynamic island, it's always doing something. Like there's always some kind of a notification, or there's always something that it does, and it always just, I'm always drawn to it. So I haven't yet, even though it's been a year, like here's my 14 Pro Max that I've been using since it came out. Even though it's been a year, I still haven't decided on whether or not I like it. Another difference between the regular and the Pro and Pro Max is, as you can see here, and I'm sure we'll talk about in a second, right here on the new Pro and the Pro Max, there's the action button, whereas on the regular model, we still get the silent switch. Mine's always set in the same position. It's always set on silent. So I am kind of excited to see some new functionality out of that, but I don't know that that's going to be a gigantic deal breaker or reason to spend $400 additional, right? We can get pink, yellow, green, blue, or black. I do think, like just looking from the website right here, the black is probably the best color. I don't hate that pink either. The yellow, the green, the blue doesn't really look very blue, so I will be buying the black model. Okay, Dynamic Island, we already talked about that. It does do a lot of notifications. It is a neat software solution to a hardware limitation, that being all of the cameras and all of the Face ID and everything that they have to cram into this little area of the phone. Instead of having a notch, they turned it into a useful part of the user interface, which I think is very clever. It's a very Apple thing to do. Again, I'm not yet totally sold on it or not. There is a lot of things that you can do. I rarely use this much of the dynamic island. Normally, I'll just see my AirPod stuff. I'll see when I'm on a phone call or alarms, but it is cool that developers are starting to take more advantage of it. The display, no, it does not have the ProMotion display or the 120 Hz refresh rate from the higher end models, but it's still very good. 2x peak outdoor brightness. That's really what you need, right? You don't need 120 Hz refresh rate. You don't need a gaming quality display on a phone, right? Like I'm planning this year on just using the regular iPhone. I did buy the Pro Max to make videos about it, but I'm really kind of sick of big, heavy phones. The new iOS will come with this new thing when it's plugged into a stand to turn into like a digital clock, which I think it's going to be really good because my phone, when I'm laying down in my bed, is always in a little like MagSafe stand. I think this is going to be perfect for me. What I'm hoping to see is with the design, as we saw with the Pro phones, they've got that like titanium brushed look. What I'm hoping to find is that like on normal regular iPhones, it has this very nice like matte side, but then the glass back is all like fingerprinty and it gets gross really quickly. What I'm hoping is that they've been able to combine the matte side and a matte back frosted, kind of like we have on the Pro lines. I really, that would be the win for me with the iPhone this year. I caught a lot of flack for that in my Pro Max video, but yes, I don't like having my phone have a bunch of like gross fingerprints all over it, and that will affect what I buy. One of the new things that we will see this year is a new 48 megapixel main camera. Now it still has the regular and the ultra wide. Those are the physical cameras. That's not really changing year over year. You're still getting a standard camera and an ultra wide camera. But the way that they've worked the sensor in the new main camera is it's 48 megapixels at like normally. So what you can do is you can do their 2x zoom, which isn't really a zoom, so to speak. It's more of a crop on the sensor. So you will get a 2x zoom that will do 24 megapixel images, which is still really good. 24 megapixels. This full frame camera that I'm on right here and this full frame camera over my back shoulder, they are 24 megapixel cameras. 24 megapixels is very, very good. So being able to have a lossless 24 megapixel zoom, that's pretty good and is probably a reason to upgrade year over year. It continues to have action mode as we've seen in previous cameras, but another new thing from the iPhone 15 compared to the 14s, and something that I think will actually be really useful, is now you don't really take portrait photos with your phone. Any photo you take can be a portrait photo because you're able to change the focus of the photo afterwards. That's so incredible. It's Apple being able to take their normal photo like algorithm AI machine learning stuff that they used to do, but now they apply it after the fact, which is, I think, is going to be really impressive to have depth information that you can manipulate after the fact. I do really hope this comes to older phones and it's not just a 15 thing, but this I'm really happy to see coming to the standard cameras, because Apple's had some camera options and some camera capability that has only been like held for the higher end, like the Apple Pro RAW, which only comes on their Pro phones. We talked about all this stuff right here. All day battery life, looks like we'll get 20 hours of playback on the iPhone 15 or 26 on the 15 Plus. I think personally, we'll try this out when we get them in hand. Anything over 18-ish hours for me is roughly the same as what Infinity, right? I only need it to last through a full workday, and then I just plug it in at the end of the day. So if it can comfortably get me through a full workday, boom, easy. It's just gonna go on the charger at night, whatever I do anyway. So it looks like it's up to 3 additional hours of video playback compared to the iPhone 12. That's good. They're able to, their processors are getting more efficient. They're able to squeeze slightly bigger batteries and squeeze even more performance out of their chips. That's really good to continue to get longevity of use out of these phones. A16 Bionic chip. This is not necessarily a new processor this year. It's the same chip that was in the 14 Pro and Pro Max. It's now just trickling itself down to the regular models. I like this approach from Apple. It is an iterative process, right? You're not getting a revolution every year. It makes sense from a business standpoint where they don't want to put such high-end processors in phones that aren't going to take advantage of it because they don't get some of the high-end features, right? They don't have the same high-end screen. They don't have the same HDR capabilities or requirements of it. So they just get the new processor a year later. I think that's perfectly fine. Again, the processor in a mobile phone, if you're not gaming on it, which I don't, what that really buys you is years of security updates. And this is the one where I'm really kind of irritated. Yes, the new iPhone 15 will be USB-C compatible. Yes, that will absolutely be a main reason to upgrade to it, especially if you're somebody like me and you don't want to carry around a whole bunch of cables. But am I irritated, or do I give them credit for this? Not really, because Apple clearly did not want to do this. They could have updated the iPhone to USB-C anytime in the past. The writing was on the wall that USB-C is the universal charger for folks. All the phones do it. Their iPads have been able to do it for a couple of years now. Apple clearly did not want to do this, and they're being forced to do this by EU regulations. And I refuse to buy into their marketing hype about, oh, we're finally bringing it to the masses. No, you're bringing it because you were told to. So I'm happy, but I'm irritated at the same time. I'm happy, irritated. I'm irritated at the same time. We will now be getting the emergency features from the pros onto the iPhone 15 standard, so we will get the roadside assistance and the emergency SOS via satellite, which is really kind of cool. 75% recycled aluminum, iOS 17. Boom, boom. So let's check the ordering information and see if anything's changed. Again, like I said, the iPhone 15 will be $799 at the base price. Another shout out, which I wish the mini would come back because it was even cheaper than the regular iPhone. So we got the 15 at $799, the Plus at $899. We talked about the colors. Storage, you can do 128 gigabytes at standard, 256 or 512 for $1,099. My Pro Max has 128 gigabytes of storage, and I've only used up, what, like half of it? So I would never recommend upgrading unless you have a specific need to upgrade, and I clearly don't, and I take a ton of pictures. So that is the iPhone 15 this year. What about you? Are you thinking of pre-ordering the 15? Are you looking at the 15 Pro or Pro Max? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, click here to see my thoughts on the Apple Watch Ultra 2 or the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching.